I'm KIRO 7 Pinpoint meteorologist Nick Allard.
Right now, it is cloudy and 67 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Ursula Royteen.
Miss anything? Follow us on Facebook to get caught up. KIRO Radio 97.3 FM. News and talk. Powered by the Pacific Northwest.
The Big Lead is brought to you by 3010 Weight Loss for Life.
The Dori Monson Show on KIRO Radio. This is The Big Lead.
Coming to you from the Carter Subaru studio and streaming on Facebook Live. Welcome to The Big Show. Got a lot of news to get to, but we are also, it's the last call. If you want to come and join us on Friday night, Ursula, Nicole, Paul Moyer's going to be there. And me, we call it What Are the Odds? An Evening with Dori Monson. Friday night, Federal Way Performance and Event Center. And it's the last call if you want to come join us. If you go to mynorthwest.com/events, you can get tickets for that.
We'll probably mention it tomorrow, too. So it's the call before the last call.
I thought they were cut off after today. You can do it tomorrow?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought today was the last day. Okay. All right. Well, go get them now.
There's not a lot left.
No. Okay. All right. And this is just all consuming. Do I need a haircut before Friday night? What do you think? Let me take my headphones off here.
I think you look good. No.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Haircuts are always better like the next day.
Didn't
you
you
look
just
good.
get that done like 2 weeks ago?
No. This is about a month old.
Oh, wow.
I really scalped myself last time.
Wow.
Then I got to do the last full run-through is today after the show. And then it's all consuming.
You seem a little more relaxed than last time, though.
Because you've already done it once.
The closer it gets, the more neurotic I get. So
it's going to be great.
Yes, come join us Friday night, Federal Way, mynorthwest.com/events.
Okay, do I get to do your makeup again?
Oh, will you?
Yes.
What did you do? Was it a powder?
Remember? I gave you a little powder.
Just take the shine off.
And you were asking, a little touch up underneath your eyes.
Yeah, that didn't help. I saw the video. The bags under my eyes are...
They don't help for me either.
Makeup alone will not fill those bags.
I keep telling people, too, your favorite drink will be there and available. The Dori drink.
Oh, yeah.
Renamed.
Yeah. So, but don't...
It's actually a Bay Breeze.
Don't overconsume.
No.
That's all I ask. Okay, so we'll see you Friday night, and let's get right to The Big Lead.
The Big Lead. Top story.
I tried this morning, as I have on this date for each of the last 18 years. I was watching the beautiful ceremonies, primarily from New York City, but also at the Pentagon. We had one here in Seattle as well. The 18th anniversary of 9/11. And that's what struck me more than anything. 18 years since that horrible, most impactful of all the days in my life, as far as news events, not talking about marriage or kids being born, but as far as news events, that is by a factor of 100, the most impactful news event of my lifetime. Just because I wasn't aware when I was 2 years old when Kennedy was shot. I had some, peripheral child awareness of Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King and all of that, and the Columbine tragedy, the Columbia disaster. I was flashing through all of these news events, and as horrible and impactful as all of those were, nothing like 9/11. And when I thought about it being 18 years since then, I think probably like a lot of you that you just view life through the prism of your kids, or if you're childless, your friends, your spouse, your relationships. And I was thinking, my girls are all grown. They're in their 20s, all three of them. And 18 years ago today, they were 11, 7, and 6. And I remember I was coaching my little girls. I remember going to a gym that Tuesday night, and sitting on the floor, and these were 6 and 7-year-olds, and just talking for the entire hour 15 of practice. And it was, you think about now those 6, 7, and 11-year-olds that were my kids then, 24, 25, 29 now. And that's when I started crying, because I was thinking of those 3,000 lives. And, when I've seen all of the life lived and experiences had by my girls in those 18 years, and you think about, multiply that by 3,000 people, and all those experiences gone, all those memories that never were to be. It just, I'm tearing up again right now. It just is absolutely heartbreaking. And so I didn't want to let the day go by without a mention of what happened. There was also one thing that was really powerful this morning. You may recall, because, it's unbelievable watching the gymnastics of some in the media. The New York Times sent out a tweet this morning that was stomach-turning. The Times, in the tweet, said that 18 years ago today, airplanes hit the World Trade Center. Man, those buildings must have really ticked those airplanes off. There was no mention of radical Islam. There was no mention of the underlying cause of this. And then they, after a barrage of criticism, they changed the tweet to say 18 years have passed since terrorists commandeered airplanes to take aim at the World Trade Center and bring them down. But the gymnastics, and still, after 18 years, we got to play these games because of political correctness. It's like when Ilhan Omar, a couple of months ago, she was trying to secure funding for CARE, which is an organization that has had ties to terror. And this is how she described 9/11.
CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
Some people did something. Well, in New York City this morning, Nicholas Harros, who lost his mom 18 years ago today, he got up to speak, and he was wearing a T-shirt that in huge block letters in quotation marks read, "Some people did something."
Good morning, brothers and sisters in good faith. Listen, some people did something. I am here today to honor my 76-year-old mother, Frances, on the solemn 18th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. Mom, we all miss you and love you very much. This day I also remember over 200 personal friends and co-workers that I knew that died. I remember Virginia Fox, Warren Grifka, and Lou Avasano. And I remember your sons and your daughters, your parents and siblings, and all first responders. I remember them all, and pray with you for them today. Some people did something, said a freshman congresswoman from Minnesota, to support and justify the creation of CARE. Today I am here to respond to you exactly who did what to whom. Madam, objectively speaking, we know who and what was done. There is no uncertainty about that. Why your confusion? On that day, 19 Islamic terrorist members of Al-Qaeda killed over 3,000 people and caused billions of dollars of economic damage. Is that clear? But as to whom? I was attacked. Your relatives and friends were attacked. Our constitutional freedoms were attacked. And our nation's founding on Judeo-Christian principles were attacked. That's what some people did. Got that now? We are here today, Congresswoman, to tell you and the squad just who did what to whom. Show respect in honoring them, please. American patriotism in your position demanded. For God and country, amen.
God bless him. And God bless his lost mother and the 3,000 other souls that were taken that day. But I see all over Twitter, hashtag never forget, never forget. And then I read that New York Times tweet. 18 years have passed since airplanes took aim and brought down the World Trade Center. Airplanes took aim. Hashtag never forget. So New York Times completely forgotten. And, United States bombers, they carpet bombed ISIS-infested island in northern Iraq yesterday. I don't know if you've seen the video. 80,000 pounds of laser-guided bombs were dropped on this island that is known to be a major transit hub for ISIS fighters who are going in and out of Syria. And the video that I saw, it looks like they took out everybody on that terror-infested island. And we still have to do that. And I'm glad that we still are taking the fight. I don't, in this way. I don't want troops on the ground, but we're still fighting what they started 18 years ago today. But when the New York Times sends out a tweet that says, 18 years ago, airplanes took aim and brought down the World Trade Center. What a bunch of dogs. What a bunch of gutless dogs. And that is pure fake news. The airplanes did not take aim. They had their navigation system taken over by Islamic terrorists. So don't spare me the never forget, because it's getting watered down 18 years later. Because too many people don't have the guts to confront the reality. I readily admit that no event, no news event changed me as much as 18 years ago today did. Changed how I view the world, changed how I view my place as an individual, as a husband, as a father, as a talk show host. But a lot of people are trying to just water things down today. It's never sat right with me. Next up in the big lead.
The Big Lead, Bizarro World.
I am telling you, it was a devastating day for Sound Transit yesterday in front of the Washington State Supreme Court. We had breaking news in my 2 o'clock hour yesterday. They're being challenged right now because the Sound Transit 3, the $53 billion law that they passed, the taxpayers did not know that their car tabs were going to go up hundreds of dollars per vehicle. And Sound Transit admitted yesterday that they did not inform the voters or the legislature of what this was going to do to individual taxpayers. This is pure war on working class people in this region.
You agree that factually they're applying the 1998 version and not the 1996?
The 1999 version, that's correct.
The man you're hearing is the attorney for Sound Transit.
Doesn't that lend some
There's one of the Supreme Court justices talking to him.
credence to the argument that it's kind of difficult from the statute to determine which valuation schedule, which depreciation schedule really applies? So there's no way for a taxpayer to tell which depreciation schedule applies to them without calling the executive agency, which makes that decision?
You would, if you read the statute and it said 1990, went to the 1996 schedule, you would also have to contact the Department of Licensing.
Okay, you can hear that he's, just stammering. And it's because they're using a schedule for your car's vehicle that overtaxes you by billions of dollars. But here is the sound. I watched the entire 47-minute Supreme Court hearing this morning. And I'm skeptical about the Supreme Court because it is so radically leftist. And they want to defend Sound Transit, I'm sure. But when the lawyer says something like this to a Supreme Court justice, Justice Gonzalez, this was unbelievable. You got to hear this.
The case is of enormous consequence, even to Sound Transit. The loss of the MDET revenue will represent the loss of between $15 and $18 billion in revenue to the agency that's needed to finish the system. Without that revenue, it means that we cannot complete, either have to eliminate or substantially delay a number of major projects. The projects that would either be eliminated or couldn't be built are light rail from...
Why is the importance relevant to what the law is here? Why reference that?
This is beautiful. So Sound Transit is saying, yeah, you know what? We might have broken the law in how this thing was written. But if you take it away now, we're not going to be able to finish these projects because we're going to lose 15 to 18 billion. And that's when Justice Gonzalez says, why are you even bringing that up? That's not what this is about. If you're breaking the law, you broke the law. And not that we should ignore the law because Sound Transit, the arrogance of Sound Transit here.
Be built a light rail from...
Why is the importance relevant to what the law is here? Why reference that?
I think it relates to the fact that the standard of proof is that you don't rule statutes unconstitutional unless they're beyond a reasonable doubt.
We would do that whether it was $1 or the amount you indicate, right?
Yes.
So, yes, you only rule something unconstitutional if it's beyond a reasonable doubt. But Sound Transit's arguing, but since it's so much money at stake, maybe you shouldn't rule this unconstitutional. And Justice Gonzalez owned this guy. He absolutely owned him here.
We would do that whether it was $1 or the amount you indicate, right?
Yes, you would. But this case is of substantial importance in that it would effectively preclude completion of the system or require the taxpayers to pay substantially more to complete it because of the increased borrowing and increased time. Ironically, if you don't have the MVET tax, if you want to complete the system, it's going to cost substantially more in the order of billions to complete by paying more sales tax and property tax than you would if you retained the MVET tax.
And this is what I've been telling you from the very beginning. This has been their strategy. Let's just break ground, and then people will say, well, we can't abandon it now. But now they're trying to argue, since we've already broken ground, even if we did this illegally, even if we got the $53 billion through illegal means, you should let us because we're not going to be able to finish these projects now. That was one of the worst arguments I've ever heard before a Supreme Court. Now, will the justices do the right thing? Will they smack this down? Will they start returning the illegally taken money to us? That remains to be seen. But that was a beautiful moment. Sound Transit's on the ropes, and the taxpayers, we're back in the fight all of a sudden. And that is your big lead this hour.
The Big Lead on KIRO Radio.
What should we do about all the homeless people in the region? A King County Council member says we should send them away with one-way bus tickets. Reagan Dunn will explain his plan to you and me next on The Dori Monson Show.
This hour